Kids deserve better. After watching Shrek, I decided to check out a couple of clones that came out in the years following Shrek's mammoth success. One of those was Hoodwinked, which I actually grew up watching quite a bit, and I have a video covering it coming out next week. The other film was Happily Never After. Why is there an apostrophe after the N? I have absolutely no idea. Now, I know you're probably asking yourself, John Paul, surely the movie itself isn't as uninspired and lazy as the title would suggest. Well, let's jump into it, shall we? This masterpiece of cinema follows the story of Rick and Ella. Rick is a humble dishwasher for the crown, and despite his lowly stature in life, he is desperately in love with the beautiful, or at least not as ugly as her stepsisters, Ella, who is a humble housekeeper for her evil stepmother and 2 stepsisters. She's Cinderella. She's literally freaking Cinderella. But for whatever reason, this movie sometimes calls her Ella. I guess Cinderella has too many syllables? I mean, it's clear there wasn't a lot of interest in working real hard on this movie. Cinderella ends up going to the ball with her stepmom/sisses, and meanwhile, we're introduced to the clever and not at all stupid and lazily written Mambo and Monk. They get left in charge of scales that balance good and evil in all of the various fairy tales.
Remember what I taught you. You have to maintain the balance between good and evil.
Well, the main wizard dude is on vacation. Now, I want to talk really quick about Mambo, who, after much analysis, I realized was cleverly written as a stand-in for the audience, because after about 2 minutes, he gets bored out of his mind, which is exactly how I was feeling by this point in the film.
Rumpelstiltskin, still going for custody. I think he wants weekends, right? Always the same thing.
After a comedy of errors, the balance is shaken, and the magic that governs fairy tales and their happy endings starts leaning towards evil. Now, I know I'm in the middle of the plot, and I don't want to spend this whole video nitpicking, but if the scales are supposed to represent the balance between good and evil, and the good characters always get their happy endings, shouldn't the scales be shown tipped towards good? Also, it's clear that Mambo has seen all of these fairy tales play out before, so does that mean that all of the fairy tale characters are stuck in some sort of horrific time loop, a la Groundhog Day, forever trapped to follow whatever predetermined path is set before them, completely devoid of free choice and the option to change their fate? Sorry, I got a little carried away there.
Ouchie, mama!
As Ella is about to kiss her Prince Humperdinck,
You promised me that you would never say that name.
What? Humperdinck?
Ah!
Humperdinck! Humperdinck! Humperdinck!
the evil stepmother Frida decides to take their fate into her own hands, having stolen the Staff of Power, or whatever the heck it's called, and begins to tip all fairy tales in favor of evil. I hate this movie so much, and I do mean hate. Happily Never After is dull and unoriginal on paper, and the animation is clearly abysmal, rivaling that of Hoodwinked. But that is nothing compared to the script itself. I don't really know the best way to describe how bad it is, so I'm just gonna show you.
I'm gonna need some bad guys. It's time to party! Come here, cutie. Show me those magic arts. Come on, big boy. Teach me.
Just knock me out, dude. Just do it.
Oh, I hate that girl. She's so...
Girly.
Sure. You don't want to find the prince. You want him out of the way so you can be the hero yourself.
Ella, I know the prince. He's hopeless, and I know I can do it.
No, you can't. You can't save the day. You're not a prince. You're just...
John Cena!
The dishwasher and the scullery maid. You're gonna live happily never after.
Hey, that's the name of the movie.
Ella spends most of the movie pining after the prince.
There he is. I'm sure that's him. Hello? Prince? Hey, up here. Did you guys see a prince come this way? 6'2", perfect body, perfect face, perfect everything.
Okay, so in most fairy tales, the princess is incapacitated in some regard and needs a prince to save her, which isn't great, but at least they're usually asleep or something. Ella is just straight up lazy. Also, we spend a good 10 to 15 minutes with Rick just doing nothing because he's offended by the princess and doesn't want to help her as a result.
Go with her, mon ami. She does need you.
For what? To chase after that jerk?
Like, she's not into him, so he's not gonna help save the kingdom because of it? What message is this movie trying to promote? Eventually, as you'd expect, she realizes that Rick is the guy for her, and they team up with Mambo and Monk to fight Frida and give the fairy tales their happy endings back. Yay? So it appears the main production company behind this project was Vanguard Animation. They were founded by John H. Williams, who produced all of the mainline Shrek films. Probably their most well-known project is the 2005 Disney film Valiant, which I actually vaguely remember watching as a kid. They're still making movies, and their business model appears to consist of producing low-budget animated films targeted at international markets and streaming. I guess it's like the kid version of Blumhouse, where the budgets are so low, even if the movies don't do super well, they're probably still turning a profit on just about everything they make. Low budget, however, shouldn't mean low quality, at least to this extent. I get that animation is really freaking expensive, and there are limitations when it comes to the money, time, and personnel you're given, but good writing doesn't cause your budget to increase at all. Giving your quality voice actors, that I'm guessing took up most of the budget, half-decent dialogue and actual direction would put you leagues ahead of where this movie ended up. Look, every year, a frick ton of bad movies come and go, and that number has only gone up with the rise of streaming, as companies like Netflix throw money at pretty much everyone with half an idea. What makes me most upset about movies like this, though, is that they're specifically targeted at children with the belief that they're dumb and won't really care about quality. But this is, in my opinion, a very dangerous mindset. Many parents and teachers push for children to read at least competently written books. No, a 6-year-old shouldn't read Shakespeare, but what they are reading should at least have correct grammar and a semblance of a coherent plot. What I find so astonishing is just how little regard is given to other pieces of art and entertainment we give to kids to consume. If we wouldn't have them read a book with 18 grammatical errors per page, why on earth would we have them watch absolute freaking garbage like this monstrosity? Not only is it an insult to the countless other competent, kid-friendly films out there, it's a direct insult to children. Look, I'm not stupid. Kids are not always the brightest. They're uncoordinated, they don't know how anything works, and whenever you tell them to do something, they usually do the exact opposite. But do you know what kids excel at? Absorbing every little bit of information around them. And this is especially true when they're not being educated in what we think of as a traditional learning environment, like school. Kids learn so much simply from the books they read for fun, the video games they play with friends, and the movies they watch with their parents. And when they're absorbing all of it, the good and the bad, why on earth would you want them to soak up putrid pond scum like Happily Never After? We think kids are dumb and that it doesn't matter what they watch as long as it's appropriate. They're not going to sit there and analyze plot structure and character development. They're going to laugh at dumb-looking characters doing dumb-looking things, and right after they finish watching it, they're going to declare it their favorite movie ever. But anyone who's ever spent time around children knows they pick up on so much more than we give them credit for. No, they don't need to be able to write stupid video essays about 14-year-old children's movies, but they should at least be literate when it comes to film. Film is the dominant art form in our society, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. Not everyone needs to be a film critic. In fact, most people probably shouldn't, but everyone should have a starting point for processing and understanding a film. Despite what many believe, film watching is not a passive experience. Whether you like it or not, your brain is doing something with the information a screen is throwing at you. Again, you don't need to be deconstructing a movie in your head while you're watching it, but even the most casual of film viewers should be able to discern a decent film from a truly terrible one. Films are powerful. They can change our perspective on the things happening around us. They can open our eyes to new points of view in ways that are personal and touching. They can make us laugh. They can make us cry. They can make us scream. And they can make us cheer. Films are powerful, and while we don't need kids to be connoisseurs, we shouldn't treat them like they're stupid. We have a responsibility to show them films that are competently made. They certainly don't need to be works of art. A kid doesn't care that a particular painting was created by Da Vinci, but you probably wouldn't tell them that the scribbles their 2-year-old brother made is true art. As a child moves from a logical to a more rhetorical stage of thinking, the elements and messages of the media they consumed when they were younger, whether that was books, games, or films, will start to click. And when kids become teenagers and they start to create more thoughtfully, they're going to pull from the influences they grew up with. Look, I get it. It's hard finding movies that are safe for kids to watch. And after they've seen the same 2 Disney and Pixar movies 18 times, you're probably ready to chuck the iPad into the backyard. So in the spirit of actually providing a semblance of a solution, I have a list of over 50 films that I've compiled with the help of some actual parents. And not every movie in this list is going to be right for every age, but I hope it's at least a helpful starting point. Chicken Run, Matilda, The Adventures of Tintin, Ella Enchanted, The Princess Bride, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, The Iron Giant, the Harry Potter movies, when they become age appropriate, Willow, many of the Studio Ghibli films, including My Neighbor Totoro, Ponyo, Spirited Away, Kiki's Delivery Service, Annie Get Your Gun, the musical, Calamity Jane, also a musical. The Don Bluth films, including An American Tail and Fievel Goes West. Anastasia, The Prince of Egypt. Not a movie, but Batman the Animated Series. Also not a movie, but Phineas and Ferb. The Muppet movies, including The Muppet Movie, The Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, The Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, Muppets from Space, and 2011's The Muppets. We don't talk about that last one. How to Train Your Dragon, How to Train Your Dragon 2, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. It's alright. Kung Fu Panda, Kung Fu Panda 2, Kung Fu Panda 3. It's okay. Megamind, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, Toy Story 3, Inside Out, Coco, Toy Story 4, Onward, Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So in conclusion, I, a single dude who is nowhere close to even having children, am telling you how to raise yours. Okay, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. I just want to encourage people to think more about what media and art their kids are consuming. I understand that it is incredibly difficult to find entertainment that kids can watch, and you don't have to be staring over their shoulder the whole time, making sure none of the cute on-screen characters get savagely murdered. It can be a truly educational and enriching experience for them. One you don't have to feel guilty about.